Hello, grade 8 learners! How are you today? I hope you are all doing fine. This is Teacher Hannah, your virtual teacher in this video lesson. Come and join me for a fun-full learning experience in mathematics. Are you ready? Be sure that you have with you your pen and paper and your Module 3 in Quarter 3. Because today, we will learn about the SAS, ASA, and SSS congruence postulates. And here is the most essential learning competency of our lesson. Illustrates SAS, ASA, and SSS congruence postulates. Before we proceed, I would like you to meet my twin friends. They're twin SAS, twin ASA, and twin SSS. As you can see, they are not with their twins now. And they are sad because they cannot find them. But the good news is, we can help them by opening the door which will lead them to their identical twins. Yes, they are identical. Therefore, the marks on their physical appearance are alike. So each door has a specific physical characteristic written on it. And it will only open for the twin who possess this characteristic. Are you now ready to help? Come on!
The three are now in front of the first door, with two angles are alike written on it. Who do you think among the three twins possess this characteristic? Who among them has a mark on two angles? Correct! Twin ASA have this characteristic. So only twin ASA can enter this door. Hooray! The ASA twins are now happily reunited. As you can see, they have identical marks on their two angles. Aside from their two angles, what other part is marked identically to them? Very good! Their sides included between the angles are also marked identically. The two left sadly proceed to the second door, with two sides are alike written on it. Do they possess this characteristic? Yes. So they easily opened the door and entered. But they were disappointed as they see not their twins, but another set of doors. Who between the two has a mark on the included angle? How about a mark on the third side? You're right. The SAS twins have identical marks also in their included angle, while the SSS twins have identical marks on their three sides. Wow! You did a great job! Finally, they're all happily reunited with their twins.
This also means that you are now ready with our lesson for today. In mathematics, we use congruence in describing figures or objects that are alike or identical. Now, let us have once again the SAS twins. Based from their marks that are identical, will you complete this statement? You are correct! If two sides and an included angle of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding two sides and unincluded angle of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. And that is the SAS, or side-angle-side congruence postulate. But what do we mean by unincluded angle?
An included angle is the angle between two sides of a triangle. For example, given this triangle ABC, angle A is the included angle between line segment AB and line segment AC. Now, let us have an example for SAS congruence postulate. Let us have triangle MOP and triangle NOQ. If you look on the figure, you can see that the two sides are marked identically. So we have line segment MO is congruent to line segment NO. Next, we have angle MOP and angle NOQ. The two angles are also marked identically in the figure. Remember that vertical angles are congruent. Thus, angle MOP is congruent to angle NOQ. And lastly, we have line segment PO is congruent to line segment QO, since they are also marked identically in the figure. Therefore, triangle MOP is congruent to triangle NOQ by SAS congruence postulate.
Next, let us proceed to the ASA twins. Based from their marks that are identical, will you complete this statement? You are right! If two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding two angles and the included side of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. That is the ASA, or angle-side-angle congruence postulate. And what do we mean by an included side?
An included side is the side common to two angles of a triangle. For example, given this triangle ABC, line segment AC is the included side between angle A and angle C. Let's now have an example for ASA congruence postulate. Let's have triangle MOD and triangle ULE. So based from their identical marks, we have angle M is congruent to angle U. Line segment MD is congruent to line segment UE. And angle D is congruent to angle E. Therefore, triangle MOD is congruent to triangle ULE by ASA congruence postulate.
And lastly, let us have again the SSS twins. Based from their marks that are identical, will you complete this statement? Very good! If three sides of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding three sides of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. And that is the SSS, or side-side-side congruence postulate.
Let us have an example. We have triangle HEP and triangle POH. Based from the parts that are marked identically, we can say that line segment HE is congruent to line segment PO, and line segment EP is congruent to line segment OH. Next, by applying the reflexive property of congruence, we can say that line segment PH is congruent to line segment HP. Therefore, triangle HEP is congruent to triangle POH by SSS congruence postulate.
And there you have it, grade 8 learners! You just have learned about the SAS, ASA, and SSS congruence postulates. Now, I want you to try this.
In the following figures, corresponding parts are marked similarly. Determine whether the triangles are congruent by SAS congruence postulate, ASA congruence postulate, or SSS congruence postulate. I will give you 15 seconds to answer, and the timer starts now. Time's up. The answer in number 1 is SSS congruence postulate. Number 2, SAS congruence postulate. And number 3, ASA congruence postulate.
Did you get it all correctly? Excellent! Now, let's have a recap.
If two sides and an included angle of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding two sides and an included angle of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. By what postulate? Very good! By SAS congruence postulate. If two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding two angles and the included side of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. By what postulate? Correct! By ASA congruence postulate. If three sides of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding three sides of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. By what postulate? Brilliant! By SSS congruence postulate.
This time, let us see if you really understand our lesson. Get your pen and paper and answer this activity. I know you can do it, math learners! Remember that it is okay to commit mistakes at the start. The important thing is, you learn from this mistake and apply that knowledge to become better in math and in life.
For your assignment, do this in a one whole sheet of paper.
So that's all for now, grade 8 learners. Again, this is Teacher Hannah reminding you to keep safe, have a nice day, and see you next time.